Hello everyone, this is Stormigo Gaming and welcome to a new rant video. This is for the next month of February, and this is based around a video by Lex Friedmen. And the current topic, already seen the title of what I chose, is that he's what you would call, if you're around NATO circles, a peacenik. And specifically, exactly, a peacenik. He's a Vatnik, but he's a peacenik. He doesn't really support Russia's imperialism outright, but he does support it inadvertently because he just wanting peace for the sake of peace, but not wanting to do it the proper way of having a peace that would actually work and not just a temporary band-aid that will just explode after a while. Because he had an interview with Zelensky, and Joe Zelensky was expert and he was very good at what he was speaking about. About Friedman was so painfully, stupidly naive. That is the worst thing about him. He was so painfully naive that it just hurts. Like, like he was just looking for any and all reasons not to admit to what Russia has become, because his relatives are from Russia. He can't never admit that Russia has become an awful place. So he's looking for and he's like, oh, why is Zelensky saying all this? Is not too mean to say in foreign international negotiations? Like, um, and it's like, okay, do you understand that right up until the day Russia invaded, Zelensky, in another interview, pointed out constantly that he was in negotiations with the Russians. He thought that was in good faith, mind you, all the way right up until the day they invaded. Right up until the very day. He was shocked when they did this. He was talking to them. He thought they could have had some sort of compromise in any way, and they invaded. And they were lying to his face to the day they invaded. That is why he's harsh. That is why he is zero tolerance to Putin in that interview. And the stupidest thing he said, Friedman said, "Oh, Putin loves his country." No, Lex, that that monster does not love Russia, or in particular, he does not care for the people. He doesn't care for what happens to hundreds of, or to millions of them if he has to die for him, to get what he wants. He cares about the idea of a Russian empire. That's all he cares about. He cares about that and his inner circle. Other than those two things, he does not give. I'm not sure I can say a bad word. A crap about anyone else. We see this in how the Russian military barely trained its soldiers to have them go on meat wave assaults constantly to the front lines, treating their soldiers like complete garbage, and treating them worse than slaves. Slaves, honestly, like that of the World War One Russian army, and overall treats themselves and the Ukrainians horribly. And it's hypocritical when he says that, considering that Russian propaganda tries to say that Ukrainians and Russians are the exact same people or brothers, yet Russia has been utterly vicious against the Ukrainian people. We're not, I mean, the Kyrgyzstan safari, look that up, it's horrific. The many mass graves Ukrainians find anytime they liberate a place, the numerous videos and photos of Russians killing and butchering Ukrainian prisoners, the Russians zero hesitation bombing civilian areas, not even military, civilians all the time. And I bet literally today they did that just now. So for Lex Friedman to say this, it doesn't make any sense for him to say that because A, Putin doesn't love his people, and two, by that logic, he's a complete liar considering that if he sees Ukrainians as Russians, why is he treating them as such? And this is going to thing about the peaceniks, because I feel because here's the thing, I hate people like history legends. Like history legends is kind of peacenik, but he's more of a Vatnik in a sense. Like his worst videos were during the Ukrainian attacks in Krinky, and he was saying that the Ukrainians are butchers and they're evil and they should not be fighting this war at all. You can see his videos; he was very eye-rollingly stupid, and it's ironic that he says that while the Russians are doing that themselves, trying to and getting massacred in Kherson, and even the soldiers see that suicide and they're destroying their own boats to not go there. But that's a story for another day. But but the reason I made this video about why are Vatniks retarded is simply because of just how many contradictions they are. Like, it's one thing to be a Russian Vatnik. Like, that's understandable. You all know propaganda 24/7. Maybe you believe in that, or maybe you're too afraid to say anything because you don't want the Russian police to kill you. Like that's understandable, but still tragic. But it's worse for the West. Why? Because they really should know better. They're not under the propaganda or censorship that Russia puts its people in. There is videos on YouTube as we speak of hundreds of videos of the Russian propagandists and the horrific things they say. And remind you, those people are under the propaganda way. Everything they say is what the Russian government wants them to say. And many of the things they say is similar to what the Nazis said about other people there. You'll be surprised, and consider how much of them and many of it is anti-Semitic, by the way. And also, you'd be surprised how many anti-Semitic comments you see in Vatnik videos. You'll be very disgusted. But this gets on the topic of Friedman, because he saw himself as like, I'm a peacebreaker. I will want to do this so he can have peace. And he was so stupid. He didn't even ask any of the serious questions. He never asks about their reaction to the horrific crimes. He never talked about the missile strikes, the Kherson Safari horrors, not about the Russian war crimes, not calling out Putin's imperialism and outright state imperialism. And he expected Zelensky to just not act with act with act like he did, like not just he's being too mean. He's gonna ruin negotiation. Hey, what about the Russians actually negotiating good faith themselves, huh? Why is it always on the person being attacked to give them everything they want? That's not how it works. Now. This was made literally a day after Trump got inaugurated, so we're not sure how things are going. But here's the thing: Trump is gonna fail in convicting Russia of anything. You know why? Because Russia doesn't want to stop. They don't. They can't even get a ceasefire because the thing is, if Putin believes what he can get through violence, he's going to get it through violence. And Trump, the moment he realizes that, is going to give Ukraine what it needs. The thing is that Vatniks keep on saying that Russia is somehow not the aggressor. They always have to victim blame all the time, and it's just disgusting. Like that's like how could you say that as a normal human being, yet uh, yet treat the people being victimized as evil for not lying down and dying? That doesn't how it works. And considering that is 3 years of this, you really don't think that if Ukraine was so ready to give up, was what really wanted to be part of Russia, really, why is it that we're now 3 years into this? This was supposed to be a 3-day military operation, and we're now 3 years into this. Does that say something that maybe the Ukrainians actually want to be their own nation and not be part of Russia at all? And recently, History Legends, he made a couple batch of videos bashing on Ukraine, the usual, because he's a Vatnik, even though he try to say he's not. But he made a particular video to talk about Ukraine desertions. Like, oh, why do you have so many desertions? They had about, for what his video said, is like 20,000 at best, which, in consideration how much many Ukrainians are fighting, doesn't isn't that much. And considering if they have so many desertions, you're not seeing that in the front. The Russians are still having a horrific time, and I bet the Russians themselves are like, "Who? Which units? The units I find are clearly not deserting or something like that." And that's even a bad number considering that many desertions might come back, others might be arrested, and others would come back. Like the thing is, it's not a whole thing. And and you notice this also because if he has to talk about that, he should talk about how many more desertions Russia has. Because that's why the Russians are barrier troops, because they have so many desertions and soldiers retreating the moment a firefight happens that they literally have to make NKVD like units to kill and block units that retreat. Oh, but he's never gonna talk about it. All he's gonna say is like, oh, this never happened, or it's not as bad as it looks. Even though he's trying to act like Ukraine is all so bad, even though it's just projections, the Russians are doing it way more, and they arguably had even more desertions. Oh, a Ukrainian battalion all deserted. Oh, great. What about a whole regiment? Yeah, a whole Russian regiment deserted at one point. Oh, but he's not even going to talk about that? No. Another thing about Vatniks, they're very hypocritical. They don't want to admit that Russia is not the bear they used to be. Because the truth of the matter, people, is the Russian today is not the Soviet Union, and it's not the Russian Empire. Those things are dead, and they should get over it. Unfortunately, they won't, and people are gonna die because they don't want to let go of things that should be let go. So that's my video, and that's that. So see you guys in the next video, and see ya. Bye.